Technology farts in our face once more.
Yep.
Oh god. Is your camera operating?
In a moment.
Okay. So
Hold on.
we'll just do a voice only until that happens.
Huzzah, voice only.
One thing we got going that works.
Yep. There we go.
There you go. Hello there.
Hello. And everybody out there in internet land.
Yes. Exciting, isn't it? All this fantastic new gadgetry. Okay, so let's dig into the magic, the mystery, the wonder that is Yor, the Hunter from the Future. Oh, God.
We've been working on this thing for almost 3 months, and we just still are just like, I'm just done with it. Just get it done. Let's just put it up and be done with it.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Things have moved at a rather more Kubrickian pace than I really wanted to for that.
Dear God. Oh my God.
However, it should be damn funny.
Absolutely.
It needs to be. Mm-hmm. So let's first of all just talk about first impressions of this mad beast that we dealt with.
I had heard little things about the movie, and then you introduced me to it, and it still did not remotely prepare me for the horror of it. I'm not going to lie, me and my best friend, we got super wasted. The very first time we watched it, and we did sort of like a on the fly, we're going to make fun of it at the time, and we're like, oh, we could just put that down. But even then, having to go through it again, and then thinking of things to really put down for the riff, that was the hardest part. Yeah, and it was just as bad. You think it would be better or more enjoyable? No, it just got worse and worse every time we watched it.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it has its own anti-magic that way.
Yeah.
I'll tell you my own first impressions of it. I had heard about Yor long before I had seen it.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was one of those movies that was famous as one of the worst movies ever made. And people said just for the song alone, you needed to see it.
Yep. Yes, well,
you're strong. He's a man. Yeah.
Exactly.
And so this was back when I still lived in the city, and so I went to Scarecrow Video to check it out because I lived right by there at the time.
Yeah.
Just about a block away from where Ted Bundy lived. Actually.
Fun fact.
Yeah, fun little fact. So, yeah. It's a place where cinematic horror was witnessed and where people were murdered. A lot. Anyway, so I watched... so I went there and they had it on VHS and they had a deposit that you had to put on it.
Oh, yes.
To watch it. Because it was their only copy of Yor. And when I went up to the counter, I handed the guy the box and... the clerk said, "Who's the hunter from the future?" Oh, You're the hunter from the future.
That joke never gets old.
No, it never does.
No, it really doesn't.
You can't help it. You hear it about 10 times in the first 15 minutes of the movie. She's with Yor. Go with Yor.
Uh-huh.
Find Yor. Like, find my what?
Yeah. Who's on first?
And so... I watched it, and I put it in with like tongs because it had a $300 deposit on it.
Okay, fair enough.
And so it had to went into the VCR. It's like,
yep.
Please
had to keep it sterile.
Don't break on me. And I watched it with my partner, and we had seen many bad movies before. We had watched The Uncut Manos. We had watched Red Zone Cuba. We had watched another movie that's very similar to Yor, which is Cave Dwellers, with Miles O'Keefe. And we were still amazed. We were still amazed at just how bad this thing was.
Yeah.
With its constant oiling up of Reb and and the giant puppets and the
atrocious makeup and costumes.
And that whole thing where they turn into plastic dolls when they're swinging over the big pit.
Yeah. Of course.
They basically took He-Man action figures and dangled him over a miniature pit.
Uh-huh.
Um,
I have the power of prosthetics.
yeah, like weird. I turned into a plastic doll for a second there. Huh. Um, and so yeah, I mean that. So that was kind of my first impression of it, and that was about 17 years ago
Oh wow.
when I first bore witness to this nightmare, and I just knew that this was something that had to be done because MS23K never did it,
No,
and Riff Tracks hasn't done it,
Rorschach hasn't
and
done it yet.
Cinematic Titanic hasn't done it,
Nope.
and we'll never do it because Cinematic Titanic disbanded.
Nope.
So there we are. We're sort of entering the, I guess, weirdly virgin territory.
Yeah.
I hate to use the word virgin when referring to this film, but
Indeed.
you know.
Just not even going to touch that one
Yeah.
for virgin reasons.
Yeah. And so there it was, my first and last impressions. I must say, Sony Pictures has been a real beast about the rights to this thing. I think I know why no one's done it before.
Yeah.
Because I guess Joel Hodgson has been asked about this movie. Because fans ask him, why'd you never do it? And he said, they could never get 20 grand together for the rights for the movie. Because I guess Columbia Pictures, and then when Columbia got bought out by Sony Pictures, is really nasty about holding the intellectual property for this film.
Uh-huh.
For reasons that you make you kind of wonder, because basically riffing is the only reason why anyone would watch this movie.
I just think it has to do with general, I mean, this is my opinion, but about the actual copyright laws that Sony holds in place for all of its material. They're so very true to it. And when you think about the fact that I don't remember what was the last movie that Sony was actually nominated for that included an Oscar in it.
Mm-hmm.
They will take any single one of their pieces of movie franchise and they will hold to it with an iron fist, even if it's, okay, we're going to release it for better exposure. It's like, no, this is ours. You can't have it.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's atrocious, which, let's be real, about half of Sony's stuff is atrocious. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, 90% of anything is pretty much crap. That's Sturgeon's law, but...
Yes.
But, certainly with a picture like Yor, which was just... I mean, basically what Yor was...
Uh-huh.
First of all, it was meant to be a TV series
Mm-hmm.
in Italy.
Yeah.
That was how it was explained, I guess, to Reb Brown and Corinne Clary.
Which would explain why every 30 minutes he's sleeping with somebody new and a new village sets on fire. And
Right.
yeah, it totally has that episodic feel to it.
And so basically, this was just like the first 3 episodes of a TV show
Yeah.
wedged together. And the reason it became wedged together was that Conan the Barbarian made a ton of money in 1982. And because we now think, when we think of Schwarzenegger films, we think of The Terminator. That was the big movie.
That was the one.
But in 82, it was Conan. That was the one that and that was that explained, like cave dwellers,
Yep.
which was also kind of in a similar vein, and also He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, Thundar the Barbarian, Black
Right.
Star, all these kind of properties sprung out of Conan. And of course, Conan itself, they had a sequel, and it basically disappeared up its own rabbit hole.
Yes.
With Conan the Destroyer. But so Yor was sort of part of that whole get a guy with some muscle, put a furry loincloth on him, and have him hit stuff.
Yes.
And,
Like you should.
And also, if you can mix in that there's some kind of science fiction-y future world science stuff to go along with the magic, that's great too.
Yeah.
And so that's why all of those movies, to various degrees, have those elements. And some of them got really out there, kind of like Krull, which
Yeah.
where the production designer went crazy, but the screenwriter didn't follow.
Sorry, missed that.
Yeah. And so, so Yor is probably at the bottom of a very nasty barrel, actually,
Yeah, absolutely.
of bad movies.
Mm-hmm.
So that's sort of the basic history of it. There's actually more that could be said, and we have on the blog we have an interview with Reb Brown where he talks a bit about it
Mm-hmm.
and about how he got involved in the movie.
Yep.
Because he's actually had kind of a weirdly long career.
Yeah. Well, what's the name of the guy again who plays Flash in the Flash movies?
Oh God,
Yeah.
what is his name?
He's only available to be atrocious for so many things.
Mm-hmm. Because I remember seeing Reb Brown on a Rockford Files episode.
Yes.
Back in the 70s. He played a lifeguard. And it's actually, Natch. You can see him, a casting director, just looking at him and going, blonde guy, kind of tall, muscly, lifeguard. There we go. And he did fine, He had like 3 lines in a Rockford Files.
Peckish, blonde-haired, can act maybe, kind of, sort of, not really. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And he did some other sort of really silly science fiction movies. He had some good stories about working with Gene Hackman.
Oh yeah.
In that interview.
That always works.
And then Corinne Cleary, who played Kala.
Yes.
She's actually had a hugely long career.
Yeah, it was mostly an international career, but she was. Who was she in Moonraker? Yeah, she was Moonraker.
She was the Moonraker. She was most known in America, for doing Moonraker, because she's the woman who gets torn apart by dogs when the villain kills her that way.
Right.
In actually one of the more memorable deaths ever in the Bond series.
One of those. Oh shit. Wow.
You actually watch it and it kind of overwhelms the next few minutes of the movie because it's like, Jesus Christ. What did you just do?
Yep.
That is some sick business, man.
You gotta love those.
And she also did the story of O, which was another it was kind of that part of that 70s erotica trend that was part of like Sylvia Crystal's entire career was based on.
Yeah, oh my God, it's so raunchy and sketchy, and little did they know that 40 years from then we'd have 50 Shades of Grey.
Well, we'll come to that. I hesitate to use that expression, but we'll come to that. We'll come to that in due time.
Yes.
But yeah, so she had that career, and then she's mostly worked in France and Italy. Just done a lot of cinema, and she's still active, so far as I know.
Oh, cool.
Not playing quite the same roles anymore, but
Right, of course.
She's now sort of dowager women and things like that.
Yes.
Anyway, so that's Corinne Cleary, and to the best of my knowledge, I don't know too much about the rest of the actors in the film. Honestly, I have not bothered to IMDb them.
Here, I'll do it right now, because it's not like we definitely didn't feel the need to do it after. We're like, I wonder what other stuff the Overlord has done. I really wonder.
Well, I'm sure he's had an absolutely brilliant career, wandering around wearing hoods and going Kala.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. If you look at the IMDb page for this film, you can always tell how good a movie is and how lasting it is when you see that there's only 3 people with actual headshots or pictures on it, and the rest is just Luciano Pigozzi, who played Peg as Alan Collins. That makes no sense to me. John Steiner, who's done a bunch of just really terrible things, and it's mostly Italian. Actors, so that's the other reason why maybe we don't know this. And I think it's always interesting when you take a look at a really terrible movie and it's ultimately an international film of sorts, because there is someone of Italian director at the helm. Case in point, Troll 2. It's just so interesting how what you really do is you take that language barrier and you put that together, and that's one of the things that just sometimes makes a movie so atrocious. It's just this giant language barrier. Yeah.
Well, it's also interesting. You pointed out that the actor had those alternate sort of American-sounding credits, where he had an American name. That's actually true of this movie too, because actually Antio Magretti is the name of the director, but he's Anthony Dawson,
Yeah,
according to the credits
of course.
for this movie. And that's actually also true if you watch Cave Dwellers.
Yeah.
Almost all the actors in Cave Dwellers, with the exception of Lisa Foster and Miles O'Keefe, were Italian. And virtually none of them had Italian credits, including the director.
Miles O'Keefe, he was in Amityville, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just love we talked about this for the Amityville conversation, but I always love hearing about all these actors who actually had really great Broadway and off-Broadway careers, and then they just did a bunch of shitty movies. Just let me get the doctor.
Yep.
The butt right here.
Yeah. Oh God.
Yep.
Yeah, the butt right here. That was brilliant. That was a. I don't know how they got through that scene.
For real.
I wonder how many times they just clowned around like, oh, the butt right there, huh?
Yep, butt right there.
There's a butt there.
That's the name of my new. That's the name of my new club hit. Coming soon to a club near you. The butt right there.
He honestly should have opened a club like that based on that line. That would have been. Because ultimately you kind of have to own it sometimes that you've done something really terrible.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Kind of like Tommy Wiseau in his Reddit conversation today.
Oh my God, it was so good. It was so good.
I love dogs. I gave him $100, okay?
Okay, he got the $100. Or just like he does these off-tangent things. I've met the man twice in person. Both times he was at the Portland Cinema doing The Room, doing a live AMA, and he's absolutely as crazy as you think he is. And I just love that he goes off on these tangents, and everybody's like, how did he get to that? I'm very big into method acting. I love acting so much. I relate with a lot of actors, James Dean mostly. Anyway, he just goes off on these ridiculous tangents, and they're sometimes inappropriate and sexual, and that's okay. That's okay too. Yeah.
Holy crap. I think I've been off video the whole time.
I hope you've been recording because
I have been recording, so
good.
And if nothing else, it'll all end. But it's going to be you on the video for the first 20.
That's all right. That's fine.
17 minutes.
Hello. Just watch me do weird reactions while you talk about things. Woo.
Oh, it's going to be wonderful.
Yeah.
Shit. Technology, you do betray me. You are tearing me apart, technology.
Oh, Google Hangouts, I'm fed up with this world. Seriously, guys, stick with Skype. Don't do Google Hangouts. It's so complicated. If you want to use your video call, use the setting, which isn't even there.
Arg.
What else did you want to talk about in terms of your... Okay. I know we have to talk about rail kills at some point. We have to talk about rail kills.
We will have to do that, yeah. But before we do that, what were for you the most fun scenes to riff in this movie? What were your favorites?
I like the ones that I had to work a little bit harder for. I always appreciate, because sometimes with humor, and I discovered with improving, sometimes you have a really great line, but you really don't want to get in the way of anybody else and what they're saying. And so you want to make sure you have just enough time to say the line about like, he was in the community production of Jesus Christ Superstar. I like it even better when they take those long pauses and you're like, oh, it's comedy gold. Like, for example, if you've seen the riff tracks with Twilight and there's just those big, long pauses and all you can think of is, line, is it your line, line. So, I mean, generally my favorite scenes to do, any of the ones with the, I don't even remember his name, Uka, the super hairy, he looked like
that guy.
He looked like a European Blue Man Group guy who really let himself go. Like, if a Blue Man Group guy mated with Cousin It, that would be this guy Uka. Those were really great fun scenes to do. Pretty much anything with the Overlord in it, because you could just tell like he had just finished playing King Lear in a summer stock production, and he was just like, "What am I doing in this film?" Yeah, those were personally my favorites, and rail kills and anytime something's set on fire, always easy to riff about things being set on fire.
Yeah, I could go along with that pretty easily. I love the Ukan scenes. Just because, for one thing, there's a lot of action in them, so it's easy to riff over it because people aren't talking too much. It isn't dialogue heavy. Although this movie, as bad movies go, isn't especially dialogue heavy.
No,
which makes it easier to manage in some ways.
And I think you would agree with
Um,
me that one of the really great parts is when, they try so hard not to rip off of other styles of movie, but there's just so many lines that sound like there's something ripped out of another movie. My one of my favorite ones is when, spoiler alert, when Reb kills Ukon by throwing him over the ears, and he goes, "Damn you, Ukon!" And all I can think of is, "You damn dirty ape." Mammal? I'm pretty sure you're a mammal of some kind. Human? Whatever. Anyway, you're dead.
that was one of my favorite moments right there. And the entire attack sequence,
Oh my God, yes.
the Ukon attack sequence where he attacks the village, that is
Uh-huh.
loads of fun to do
Yep.
because there is virtually no dialogue in it except he go like get them
Yeah.
once in a while.
And also,
Um,
for anybody who decides to check out our You're the Hunter riff, points if you get the Three Amigos reference that I do. Because I was like, does anybody remember that movie? That movie and Chevy Chase. Does anybody remember Chevy Chase being funny? Because he was for a hot second.
mhm.
Yeah.
And also, you will note that is one of those places where the butt makes its
Yep.
appearance in the film.
Oh,
Um,
the
oh, we
butt's
see a
right
lot of
there.
Reb Brown's butt.
Yeah. The butt right there.
Reb Brown's butt is muchly evidenced in this
Yes.
picture, and it's amazing just how much butt we get because
Yeah.
he actually gives us the full moon
Right.
in that scene because he's just wearing that flap. Is basically all he's wearing. It's
Yeah,
not
I
even.
mean, if that's your thing and you like to write out essay papers at 3 in the morning about, I guess I wonder how you're the hunter from the future came back from the future with wax and baby oil,
Mhm.
then that works for you because yeah, you
Yeah,
get a your moon rising as you described
yeah.
it. It was
I see your moon rising.
don't go right tonight.
And yeah, he gives us a lot of butt.
Yeah,
Much more butt than Corinne Cleary actually gives us, which is a surprise,
yeah,
given her career up to that point.
right.
Um, because Story of O gives you a lot of Corinne Cleary's butt. Just saying.
Yes, it does.
Um,
Good times.
oh yeah, but yeah, I only got in one sheesh cheeky in this picture, which
You were only given one, Jim.
yeah,
That's what happened.
that's the only one that's there.
Yeah,
Apart from that, there's some side boob, and that's it.
yeah.
So those of you, by the way, and I know that there are some of you out there who watch these things for the nudity, you're going to be pretty disappointed.
You're gonna be so disappointed.
It's going to be, unless of course you are into Reb Brown's butt, in which case, hey man, go to town.
But if you saw Amityville and you remember what nudity was in that film, I think you're
Oh
ultimately
yeah,
going to be relieved
yeah,
that there isn't as much in this one.
yeah. That one has what we call in the business the bad naked,
The bad
uh,
naked.
the very bad naked.
That was my favorite community summer theater ever.
Hmm.
Anyway,
And not quite as bad. I will say this: it is not the worst naked I've ever seen in a movie. That would
no.
have to be The Lonely Lady. Is the worst movie I have
Oh,
ever seen
I would have
in
gone
terms of nudity.
with a piano, Harvey Keitel. Sorry, did I
Hmm.
just I forgot you all. I forgot for everybody who's seen that movie that you cannot unsee certain things.
Hmm.
But yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, I have seen Pia Zadora raped with a garden hose, and so once you've been to that, huh,
It's not even. It is
oh,
3:30 in the afternoon, and here where we
oh,
are already. Hold on while I break out the scotch. Raped with a
yeah,
garden hose.
yeah,
Shh,
like,
shh. You
oh
hide me.
God, that movie.
Shh,
I saw that
shh.
picture when I was 12, and
Yeah. Oh.
because it was one of those movies I was sneaking downstairs.
Uh huh.
My parents were asleep, and I was gonna watch HBO,
Hmm.
and I read that like The Lonely Lady, massive nudity, and it's like okay, I'm
Folks,
12, it's massive nudity, I am there.
folks, if you want to know
Yeah.
why me and Jim are so messed up when we do our riffs,
Mm-hmm.
you can relate it back to that story and the fact that when I was 3 years old, I got invited to a birthday party where they did a showing of Total Recall, and I was 3 years old, and I asked my mom after the movie, so do some ladies actually have three? And she's like, no, no, Jesus, yeah.
But yeah, when I saw what happened, it was the rape scene that did it. It was just like, oh, I didn't watch late night TV again for 2 years.
And let's hope that's the last time we ever hear the words. So it was the rape scene that really did it for me.
Yeah. Like, oh God. I can tell you that Ray Liotta is not putting that on his AFI reel when the
Nope.
time comes.
Nope.
He's been in a lot of great movies. That is decidedly not one of them.
As far back as I can remember, pretty much after The Lonely Lady, I've always wanted to be a gangster because I don't like to remember anything before that.
Because yeah, after that it was Something Wild, Field of Dreams, Goodfellas. Okay.
Yay! Yeah,
And
that'll
that was,
work.
yeah, that was and basically it wasn't until the middle of doing Goodfellas that I finally got the stain of The Lonely Lady off my soul. Which, so by comparison to me, You're the Hunter from the Future was a doddle as far
Yeah.
as riffing
No,
was
that's fine.
concerned.
That was perfectly
It's
fine.
like, it's okay. Because one of the things about because we asked in the last video what was the hardest scene to riff. We don't have anything like that quite here. I mean, because in Amityville 2, obviously that was the incest scene. That was the hardest to riff.
Yeah.
Just because it is decidedly not funny.
Yes.
Here we don't have anything like that. I mean, the sexual politics of this movie are pretty messed up,
Yeah.
but they're messed up in a sort of campy, ridiculous, silly way, not in a hateful, my God, that's what you really think, Dino De Laurentiis kind of way.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. Because actually, we do know, yes, that's what Dino De Laurentiis thinks.
Yep.
That is how he could say to Meryl Streep, "You're too ugly." He said it in Italian and he didn't know she spoke it.
I think if there was a scene that was a little hard to rip, I mean, when you're doing comedy, you occasionally have those moments where you're like, I have nothing. I'm really reaching here. And maybe there were a couple scenes when they were fighting they were fighting the dinosaurs. The two, yeah, there are two dinosaur fights in this movie.
Yeah.
Three if you count the hang glider scene. Oh my God.
And the world's least convincing creature effect, right?
Yeah,
there.
and maybe when the dam gets breaking, like every now and again, I would like riff to it or whatever, and even I would be like, I'm just reaching, I'm just talking for the sake of talking right now. But no, I think those are the difficult ones. But it's true. This movie, more so than any other one I've seen, besides like The Room, gave us so much to work off of, so much to just completely and utterly scathe with how bad it was.
Well, also there's a lot to just go, ha! When you're watching like that, like you're hang gliding in on the monster he's just killed.
Don't ruin it.
It is so.
Seriously, guys, if you want a reason to see this movie, just YouTube Your Hang Glider, and you will find the movie. You're like, oh my God, I need to see 90 minutes of this atrocity.
I mean, that is along with the pommel horse in Gymkata. It's a movie moment where
it's up there with
you can't riff it because we're all just looking at it like, ha!
And for a more relevant general reference to what Jim is talking about, it's like the claws in X-Men Origins Wolverine. You're like, did they just Photoshop those in, didn't they? They just, oh my God. It's like, yeah, just terrible.
And it was when see what this movie does to you after a while. This is why we sometimes had nothing.
That's all, folks.
Sometimes it's like there is all you have to do is like we're the audience with you guys. We're just we're watching this.
Yes, we're watching,
and it is absolutely insane. There is no riff equal to this visual.
Nope.
None.
Nope.
And that scene is the moment when we get that, and a lot of times we're just sort of commenting on it, and the funny I think just comes from that.
Yeah.
Such as when Kala is doing her I'm available dance, and oh, am I available?
And then you have the close up of Yor, and he goes, "Good." I was like, "Yeah, that's."
And you also have. But what's really funny is you have a riff. It's like it's a good thing we have Pac here for the occasional boner kill, and he's doing that thing where he's like wiping his hands and his armpit.
He's eating this big hunk of brown greasy meat, and then he wipes his hand in his armpit. I mean, propers for committing to the method of the scene pack, but Alan, Luciano, whatever the fuck you're calling yourself right now, but I mean, Jesus, wow, that was that a necessary shot? Was that a necessary shot?
It's like, oh, man, and it's like that is, I think, one of the funniest lines in the thing, and it's just an observation. It's like, see this guy?
Yep.
And it's so in many ways, this movie is insanely forgiving of a riffer because, you don't have to be spot on hilarious.
No.
You just collaborate with the film. That's all you do. You just kind of, I'm going to observe this, and it's funny because we're looking at it.
Yeah.
And
I've looked into a couple of the, I guess now currently suspended, temporarily down riffs through riff tracks, and you'll see a couple of people who are literally just watching bad movies and just observing it. They don't have to like go on a stretch and say like, oh, I'm gonna make a reference to this now because it's funny. It's just like, are you seeing what we're seeing? I mean, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's one of the areas that that made me think we have to do this picture, because, and it was also a sort of a nice palate cleanser after Amityville, which was, I think we can both admit, it was kind of a distasteful job.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, fun riff, but Christ, we had to watch that movie a lot.
Yeah, and as bad as Yor was, it was definitely a palate cleanser from the atrocities that were Amityville 2. So that was great. If you had like immediately taken me into, so now we're gonna do I Spit on Your Grave, and I'm like, or Human Centipede 2, I was like, okay, I think I'm gonna tap out here. I think we're good. I think we're done. But yeah.
And so this one was just a sort of a backyard barbecue of bad, and fun in a sort of bad for you kind of way.
Yes, a backyard dinosaur barbecue, as we have seen from the hunks of brown meat in the opening scenes of You're the Hunter from the Future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, here is probably sort of the bonus question for this movie.
All right.
Was there anything good that can be said about it other than what we've just said, which was that it was highly riffable?
All right, like, give me an hour. Just hold bated breath.
I'll say something while you're thinking.
Totally.
And that is, one thing I will give it credit for is I've seen a lot of these sort of really bad, Conan ripoffs.
Yeah.
Over the years. Cave Dwellers is probably, for Mystery Science Theater people, the standard. Or maybe Outlaw of Gore.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing about this movie that kind of does separate itself a bit is that it is much more invested in putting money on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you've ever seen Cave Dwellers, basically you get Miles O'Keefe and he's wrestling with a giant velour snake.
Oh yeah.
And you can tell that it's velour, it's not alive. He's just basically pretending to wrestle with it. It's not really doing anything.
Yeah, I remember that scene.
Mm-hmm. And also in the movie before that, because Cave Dwellers is the second movie, he fights the spider god, and all the spider god is just a set of, velour legs that are manipulated, and you never see the whole creature.
Right.
And that's not the case with Yor. I mean, they really, when we talk about dinosaur fights, you see in full frame the dinosaur, and you see Yor with the dinosaur in full frame, which is kind of in its own way, for a movie like this, impressive. It's kind of like,
even if they stole it off of the Disneyland park site, that part where they go from Tomorrowland into Main Street USA, like it's that bad of animatronics. I'm like, hey, even if you just hijack those, still propers.
Yeah, I mean, they really did want to. They had ambition in this movie in a way that they didn't in Cave Dwellers.
Yeah.
And also, I've got to give them some credit for picking a really interesting looking place to film.
Yeah.
Because we give the Wang Canyon some shit.
Yep.
In the movie, but honestly, that really does look like a fascinating location to film, and
oh, totally.
And they make pretty good use of it, really. They set up a lot of action scenes in it, and I mean, the interior of that cave, the sort of fire cave, didn't work very well. But when they were out and about, those locations did look really nice, and they seemed to, and they could have done this, kind of, Star Trek interior stage,
Oh
foam
God.
rock kind of thing. They could
Yeah.
have gone that route, especially since they were doing this for TV.
Uh-huh.
And in fact, honestly, if it had been a continuing series, I would think eventually budget would force them to do that.
Yeah.
But they did as Star Trek sometimes did when they went on location. They got some really nice places to work with.
Yeah.
And I got to give them credit for picking some really interesting spots. So so as bad as the production values were,
Yeah.
they weren't the worst I've ever seen, and in some areas they were actually kind of refreshingly competent given what we were dealing with.
Yeah, not too shabby.
Yeah.
I will give points to the. I'll piggyback off that and say I will definitely give points to the ambition of the writers and the producers because it's a very unique source material. It's based off of these comics, which actually, from what I've gathered, weren't all that bad. It's a really cool concept if it's done correctly and if it's delivered correctly. So I'll say that that was really good, and also save for some really shoddy and terrible extras. Oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
There were a lot of the featured and supporting characters really committed themselves to the movie. And Lord knows, I as an actor have been in some very shoddy, terrible, terrible scripts where I said, "Well, I'm here and I'm in this getup. All right, let's shoot this son of a bitch."
Mm-hmm.
So propers to the people for not phoning it in, like when Rick Brown took a look at that glittery hubcap looking thing and went, "Damn talking box."
Yeah.
I was like, okay, way to commit to the poop.
Yeah.
How else do I say it? Commit to the poop. Yep.
Yeah, you got to give it up for Reb Brown in that regard. In both this and Space Mutiny, he has been made in his career to do some pretty stupid stuff,
Yeah.
and he really commits to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As a musical theater actor, sometimes I have moments where I'm like, okay, I'm just keeping them going till we get to the 11 o'clock number. Or when I did Chess the Musical, I was like, I'm just keeping them around for one night in Bangkok. That's what I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing. That's the one song everybody knows. It's the song they're all gonna like. And I'm sure Red Brown sometimes we're just like, I just gotta keep them minutes till we get to the rail kills. That's all I gotta do.
Mm-hmm.
Make that singular rail kill.
Yeah,
Singular
one.
rail kill.
That was where the movie punked out for me, really. That was, here we are, we've got a power station full of rails. It's just like Space Mutiny, which was another movie set in a power station. I mean, they wanted us to think it was, well, actually, it was stock footage of Battlestar Galactica, but still, they wanted us to think it was this spaceship. But it was, let's be honest, it was a power station somewhere in Italy. And here you are, you've got all these rails, and nobody's falling over them.
Yep.
And no Wilhelm screams, not one.
No.
Not one Wilhelm scream.
I was seriously waiting for you while we were riffing for you to just be like, but that's it. Nope.
Mhm. Because I just wanted to see just once a sort of
Riff over. Riff over.
Yeah. And so I needed that. Didn't get it. The movie did not fulfill my needs in that area.
Nope.
I'm afraid. Sad, sad, sad. Very sad. Oh well. So I mean, so that's The Hunter from the Future. Now let's talk 50 Shades of Grey a bit.
Oh God, because I haven't talked enough about. I've had so many conversations with not only with my film friends and my theater friends who I've done this parody show with, but so many of my feminist friends. Some of whom are actually a part of the BDSM community, and it's really nice that the people who've actually watched this video are just like, okay, I feel you there. It's different here, and sure, let's talk some more about 50 Shades. Let's do that.
So, you did a parody show of this.
Yes.
And so that's how you came. I take it that's how you came to watch the movie. And props to you for doing that, because I was not going to take one for the team on that score.
Yeah.
Um,
And one of my best friends who I grew up doing theater with, she was the featured lead in it. She's a graduate of the Tisch School of the Arts. She's done a bunch of TV pilots and Broadway, and it was one of those, I gotta support you. And she was actually good in it. So yeah.
mhm. And so, first of all, let me ask you, riffing material or not riffing material? What do you think?
Totally riffing material. Oh my God, totally riffing material. Like there was already some heckling going on and some chuckling because it was so bad, but like there needs to be a release, there needs to be a DVD. We should like do it right off the bat and be
Hmm.
like, "Sorry, Riff Track, you snooze, you lose." Um, because it's just so bad. I mean, you can do it from like a technical standpoint, and when a movie is easily riffable. Here's some 101 for you guys. A movie is easily riffable when it has both observational humor and just standard "I'm going to make fun of you" humor. Case in point, The Room. You not only have so many times where you just make fun of somebody because they just sound stupid and they make a really weird choice, but also technical things like when Tommy Wiseau has an alarm set for 7:24 in the morning, and
Hmm.
you literally have to go, who the fuck sets their alarm for 7:24 in the morning?
Hmm.
So there's so many things like that, and if whether you're feminist or you're not, or you're a fan of the BDSM community or you're not, there's just so many things in there that makes you go, really? That's where we went with this? That's the choice you're making? And there's, you get to see Jamie Dornan doing a disappearing, reappearing Northwest dialect that I have not seen so hilarious since Kevin Costner in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. Um, you get to see the main lead character try not to come off like a total dumbass, which, I mean, let's be real, that's how she always comes off.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, it's real easy to riff, and you get little moments of good stuff, like we did with Amityville. You get that with Marcia Gay Harden playing Christian Grey's mother, and I'm just like, oh, you're delightful. Wait, where are you going? Oh no, we're back here again.
Hmm.
Yeah, totally riffable.
Okay, so we will have to do that at some stage. Yes. Yes, we must.
Mm-hmm.
We will have to mock this.
Yes,
And so, yeah, keep me apprised on the release date for that,
you got it.
so we can start to figure that out. Um, and let's see what else was on the agenda. Oh
Do
yeah,
we know what we're doing next?
yes we do.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to do a trilogy actually. It's going to be huge, man.
Oh joy.
And one of the interesting things about it is I think you'll find as we go forward that we're going to start off actually pretty much in a nice spot.
Wait. You mean are we going to riff a good movie? Are
Yeah,
we
we
going
are.
to riff a good movie?
We're
Yes, we
taking
are.
on well, I would hesitate to call The Omen exactly good. But it is a very well made movie. Put it that way.
Yeah.
I want to distinguish it from being actually good.
But if
Um,
you distinguish it between the sequels as well as the remake with Julia Stiles and Liev Schreiber, it's actually pretty good.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
what I would say about it, just as a matter of preliminary, what we're talking about, of course, is The Omen, the
Yes.
1976 film starring Gregory Peck, Lee Remick, and Billy Whitelaw, and Patrick Troughton, one of the doctors. So, yeah, that movie was directed by Richard Donner, and it was his first big budget movie, and right before Superman.
Yes.
And I will say this about The Omen: if you think about The Omen carefully, it doesn't make a lick of sense.
Nope.
It is actually it actually commits one of the worst sins that a story can commit. It's basically an idiot plot.
Yes.
The story would not function if Satan weren't a complete idiot.
Yes.
That's basic, because you think about it, and I said this in Three Ridiculous Things About the Omen, that Satan is a really shitty mastermind.
Yes.
Satan has all the advantages. He has all the mojo and the shit, and basically his plan, as I understand it, is to bump off the reasonably old parents of a 5-year-old.
Yep.
That's the whole plan.
Yeah.
To kill them. Now, never mind that presumably they could die of natural causes. I mean, Gregory Peck was at that point, not a young man anymore.
No.
And, Lee Remick was getting toward middle age. And so, they were both at the age where if you just died,
yeah,
no, people would go, but, they know that people of that age die. How do I know that? Because I'm fucking 43, okay?
That's what's going to happen.
And so I know that when a 43-year-old person dies, it's it's like, oh, he was kind of young, but also 43-year-old people do sometimes just suddenly drop dead.
Sometimes that just happens.
And so it's not like, it's like, here's Satan. You don't have to be like Ernst Stavro Blofeld to figure this one out, or the shark in Jaws 4. All you have to do is wait them out. After all, you're Satan, an eternal being.
Yes.
You've got plenty of time. And this kid doesn't have to get up to all of his serious shit until he's an adult anyway. So what do you care if these people are alive? But, all of these are questions that bug you long after you watch the movie. And the reason for this is that Richard Donner paces that sucker so well.
Yes.
That basically you spend the entire run of the movie caught up in the sort of high concept question, the sort of flash, pop quiz coachese, your son might be the son of Satan. What do you do? What do you do? And that's what you're caught up in the whole time. And that, that Donner can keep you focused on that and keep you from ever thinking too much about just how ridiculous the story is in itself kind of an achievement.
Oh, yeah, totally.
And it sort of said that, okay, this is the guy who will go on to make much better movies later, like, Superman and Lethal Weapon and those kind of things, But, he made this.
Yes.
What happened with the sequels, oh my. The sequels suffered from two problems. First, Richard Donner didn't direct them. Second, because he didn't direct them, they weren't paced as well.
Mm.
And the other thing they suffered from was an over reliance on those Rube Goldbergian deaths from The Omen. Because The Omen had, like the pole falling through the guy and, the sheet of glass decapitating David Warner and that kind of stuff. And, those were neat kills.
Yeah.
Be honest.
They set us up for all 5 Final Destinations. Mm-hmm. Where by the fourth one, you're just like, oh, come on!
Mm-hmm. But by the time they get to the second one, basically, the second movie has this rhythm of person finds out Damien is Antichrist. Person gets killed in Rube Goldbergian method. Yes. This happens every 5 minutes of the movie.
Yep.
And it just gets to be like, okay, how's this person gonna get it? Mm-hmm. Oh, neat. They get into an elevator. It goes up, then it goes down, and then the cable comes and bisects them.
Wah, wah.
And then they go on to be, the one guy in Designing Women. And then the third movie, Seven Knives for Seven Brothers, also has Rube Goldbergian deaths, and it does have the advantage of Sam Neill playing Damien, which is good choice. Mm-hmm. Good choice. Sam Neill can do sort of cultured yet diabolical, which is really kind of cool. But that whole movie is premised on the idea that these 7 monks are going to come up with these elaborate plans to kill Damien. Their only problem, they've never killed anybody before. So they keep doing things like they have the magic daggers. They're supposed to kill Damien. They'll walk up to Damien, holding the dagger, and show it to him. Mm-hmm. And they're 30 feet away from the guy. And you're like, have you seen the first 2 movies?
No.
Do you know what's going to happen to you, you fucking idiot? And they always get killed in some ear-splitting way. And because Damien just works the mojo on him. And it's like, yeah, God damn it, shouldn't the Catholic Church, if they're really serious about this shit, have commandos who do this job, or like the Deadly Monk Assassination Squad or something. And Tarantino could have made it.
Oh, that would be a whole different movie. It would have people like talking about the devil for 20 minutes straight, and then out of nowhere somebody gets shot. Mm-hmm. That's what would happen if Tarantino had been directing these movies.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of which, I'd just like to point out my super amazing T-shirt I'm wearing. It was made by a friend. It's custom made. It says Jackrabbit Slims on it, and it's nice. Awesome. And of course, my friend suddenly realized, wait, is that Jackrabbit Slims? No, that's Roger fucking Rabbit. God damn it. And I was like, no, it's obscure. It's obscure. It's a meld. It's a meld of two things.
A melange,
cool.
If you will.
It's cool. It makes me so non-conformist. It's great.
I love the shirt. I love that shirt.
Oh, thanks.
Very nice. But yeah, so we're going to start out in the sort of warm bath of the Omen.
Yay, palate cleanser.
And then we will descend. But we won't do Omen 4.
Oh no, now there's poop in the bath. There's poop in the bath.
We're not going to do Omen 4 because I'm not that cruel.
Thank you, sweet Jesus. Omen 4 is to the Omen trilogy what Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, you know the rest.
Oh god, yeah. Omen 4.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that was... or as I like to call it, every 5 minutes we do this.
Mm-hmm.
Inverted cross, look at it. It's very frightening. I'm like, huh? And that seemed to be all the director wanted to do was stick inverted crosses in things.
Yep.
And it's like,
phrasing.
Yeah. Like, oh, for Christ's sake.
Literally, for Christ's sakes.
And also you're really scraping the bottom of the barrel of Rube Goldbergian accidents when one of the people gets killed because she's a snake-handling preacher and she's standing up to her armpits in snakes.
It's very common. It's a very common thing to do in films. It's
it's like that's not really Rube Goldbergian, and I can't even say that's an accident. Okay.
Nope.
That's just a dumbass getting killed.
That is a clusterfuck. If you look it up in the dictionary, that's officially one of the definitions. Snake girl. Yeah.
It's like that's. I can't even. Can we really blame Satan for that one?
Yeah. Well, if you ask a Southern Baptist, yes, you can.
Yeah, I guess so. But but yeah, we're not doing that movie because, well, life's too short. Anyway, so ends this chat on You're the Hunter from the Future. It has been insanely fun doing this. If only
Absolutely.
Google Plus could have been a part of it.
Sorry, Google.
Yeah, you snooze, you lose, assholes. Anyway, so we will sign off now, and until then, oh hi, everybody.
Oh hi, oh bye.
All right.